Hello everyone. Today I'll be presenting my neighborhood intercultural spaces project. I'll be focusing on 5 local places I visited and reflected upon: Lane Cove National Park, Kilara Station, Gordon Market, Nan Tien Temple, and Queen Elizabeth Reserve. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land where I live and present today, the Guringai people and the Darug people of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. These lands around Lane Cove and Kilara hold thousands of years of Aboriginal history and cultural stories, even if many are now hidden or erased through colonization. I live in Sydney's North Shore area. I've been here for a number of years, and I often travel through Gordon, Kilara, and Lindfield for school, leisure, and community activities. This project made me look more closely at familiar places and think about their hidden histories, cultural encounters, and how people use them differently. My neighborhood is part of the Ku-ring-gai Council area, located on Sydney's North Shore. It's known for its leafy residential streets, bushland, and schools. Demographically, according to the 2021 census, Ku-ring-gai has a high proportion of professionals, a median age of around 42, and large migrant communities, especially Chinese, Korean, and Indian. Compared to other parts of Sydney, it's more residential and suburban, but still shows a high level of cultural diversity. My first space is Lane Cove National Park in West Kilara. This area has a strong indigenous history, with the Camaragal people leaving rock engravings and middens along the Lane Cove River. Today, it's used by families for walking, jogging, fishing, and picnics. I've actually been fishing here myself before, and I managed to catch a few fish. Fishing is something that people from many different cultures enjoy, and I often see others fishing along the riverbank as well. On the way home one time, I even saw a wild rabbit jumping through the bushes, which reminded me of how nature and wildlife coexist with our human activities. When I visited, I also noticed people speaking English, Mandarin, and Hindi. It really struck me that even in a quiet natural space, there are constant intercultural encounters happening. People from very different backgrounds come together, sharing the same space and activity, even if they don't directly interact. The name Lane Cove itself comes from Governor Arthur Phillip naming it after his friend John Lane, a colonial act that erased the original indigenous place names. This is a reminder of how colonization shaped, and sometimes silenced, the cultural history of these places. For me, Lane Cove National Park shows that intercultural communication is not only about direct conversations, but also about shared experiences, like fishing or enjoying nature, which connect people in subtle ways across cultures. My second space is Linfield Station. Even though I live in Kilara, Linfield Station is actually the closest to my house, so it's the one I use most often for transport. Because of that, it feels like an important part of my everyday neighborhood experience. The name Linfield comes from an English village in Sussex, reflecting the colonial history of this area. Unlike Kilara, which has an Aboriginal name meaning permanent, Linfield represents the way many Sydney suburbs were renamed after British places, erasing Indigenous names and histories. At Linfield Station, I observed school students in uniforms, office workers, and older residents using the trains. Many people were listening to music or scrolling on their phones, and most kept to themselves. This reflects what Harris, 1995, describes as over-politeness or even avoidance. People share the same space but rarely interact, even though they come from different cultural backgrounds. Still, the station itself is an intercultural space. I often hear people speaking in different languages, Mandarin, Korean, and Hindi, alongside English. To me, this shows how public transport brings people of different backgrounds together, even if the interaction is mostly silent or nonverbal. My third space is Gordon Market, held monthly by the Rotary Club. Instead of food stalls, the market mostly has second-hand goods, plants, clothes, decorations, paintings, and handmade crafts. It's a place where people from different cultural backgrounds come together to sell and buy, creating opportunities for interaction and connection. The name Gordon comes from a British general, another reminder of the colonial past. This market is an intercultural third space in Pabha's terms, where cultures mix and hybrid practices emerge. I also have a personal connection here. My family and I once joined as stallholders. We sold succulents, bracelets, rings, and even items from our garage, almost like a garage sale but at the market. We were really happy because people from many different cultural backgrounds came to our stall, bought our things, and we actually earned quite a bit. It was an amazing experience to be a seller, not just a visitor, and to connect with the community in this way. My fourth space is Nantien Temple in Wollongong, which is the largest Buddhist temple in the southern hemisphere, run by the Fo Guangshan order Venerable Master Xingyun. When I visited, I saw people from many different backgrounds, Asian migrants, local Australians, and international tourists. Activities such as meditation, tea drinking, and vegetarian dining became ways for intercultural dialogue and understanding. Nantien means southern heaven. The temple is both a spiritual and cultural hub, bringing Buddhist traditions into an Australian setting. I also have a personal connection here. I volunteer at the temple during big events and activities. Sometimes small groups come to learn about Buddhism or tea meditation, often hosted by temple committees. The busiest time is at the start of the year when multiple festivals overlap, such as Buddha's birthday, celebrations at the temple and Darling Harbour, and Mother's Day events. Even though it can be very busy, I always feel happy to be part of these festivals. Volunteering helps me learn more about Buddhism and gives me a fresh perspective and new feelings each time. It's not only spiritual but also an intercultural experience where I connect with people from many walks of life. My last but not least space is Queen Elizabeth Reserve in West Lindfield. It's mainly a sporting ground and community park. I often see local kids playing soccer with families from Anglo-Australian, Chinese, Indian and Middle Eastern backgrounds watching and chatting. Sport works as a universal language here, bringing people together despite cultural differences. The reserve also functions as a dog park. Every day between about 3 to 6 p.m., many neighbors bring their dogs and let them off the leash to run freely. For the dogs, it's the best playground ever. They chase bulls, run around, and communicate with each other in their own way. Of course, we bring our Australian Shepherd there too. She loves playing with the other dogs, running around, and joining in the fun. Each time she realizes we're heading to the park, she gets super excited. She somehow knows it's her time to play. The name of the reserve reflects colonial ties as it honors Queen Elizabeth II, but the indigenous history of the land is less visible. In exploring my neighborhood and the spaces around me, from Lane Cove National Park and Lindfield Station to Gordon Market, Nantien Temple and Queen Elizabeth Reserve, I've seen how everyday places become sites of intercultural communication. Each space brings people together in different ways, through nature, transport, community markets, spiritual practices, sport, or even dog walking. These ordinary activities create opportunities for dialogue, mutual understanding, and shared experiences across cultural backgrounds. Personally, these spaces also shaped my own connections. Whether fishing in the national park, selling at the market, volunteering at the temple, or walking my dog in the park, I've experienced firsthand how intercultural communication is not just theory, but part of daily life. Overall, my neighborhood shows that intercultural spaces are all around us, and by engaging with them, we can build stronger and more inclusive communities.